Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Led to Gold. I'm so happy to have you here. This is a podcast devoted to sharing stories and just chatting about all things growth and wellness. So if that sounds like something you're into, hi, I'm just so glad to have you, and I hope you stick around. If you've listened before, welcome back. Just as a quick announcement, this is going to be the last podcast episode that I am still actively running my little donation giveaway. So if you don't know anything about that, you can check the description of this podcast episode, or you can go back and listen to episode 3, which is called, what's it called? It is still and always the season of giving. Yes, that's what it's called. In that episode, I talked a little bit at the end about how I felt like I was in a really good season of life and in a place where I could give back in a monetary way. So if you are interested and you have not yet rated the show Led to Gold, take an opportunity to do that. And if you DM me a screenshot on Instagram at led.to.gold, I will donate $25 to any organization, charity, mutual aid, food bank, whatever of your choosing. All you have to do is just show me that you rated me and let me know where you want me to donate, and I'm happy to do that. I will be capping it at $500, but we have not met that goal yet. So for the next 3 days until February 16th, 2023, I will be running this. So go ahead and join in if you're interested. I would love to do that for you. All right, now let's get into today's episode. I'm interested to talk to you all about this one. This is going to get a little bit more perhaps emotional than any episodes that I've done so far, and maybe not the most joyful by any means, but nonetheless very important. And since this is a show about growth overall and something that I want to talk about and spread light on, I think this is sort of a topic that I hope to see some growth in our world, in our little spheres, whatever that may mean for you. I want to give a little disclaimer that this conversation is coming from a cis white female perspective, and it may not resonate for everybody, but I want to do my best to be inclusive about this. So if you have any feedback for me or just any maybe considerations that I didn't get into, I would love to hear them. Definitely want to continue the conversation, and let's just keep riffing about this, because this is something that I think is insanely important and becoming ever more obvious of a wound for the collective, something that I think we all could spend some time reflecting on, working on, and talking about. So the topic is trends, specifically body trends. And this is seen in tons and tons of different ways. I want to kind of take it one step further than just like the trendy trends to talk about. For example, as I'm recording this, buccal fat or buccal fat, or however you pronounce that, has been a huge topic all over my social media, like literally on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. If you are a 20-something cis female and you haven't heard about the buccal fat trend, no offense, but where have you been? You know what I mean? It essentially, I'm just going to use this as a starting point. This is a trend in the sort of celebrity world, in the plastic surgery world. I don't even know if you can call it plastic surgery, but it is the removal of fat in your cheeks. And everybody's talking about it right now, or it feels that way, because Bella Hadid, Lea Michele, Chrissy Teigen, tons of celebrities have allegedly gotten this buccal fat removal. So what it does is it makes their faces look really, really chiseled. I mean, if you know who Bella Hadid is and you know what she looks like in 2023, that's what I'm talking about. So she has a very chiseled face, like really, really strong cheekbones, jawline, whatever. And this is accentuated by her buccal fat removal. This is the immediate trend example that comes to mind for me, just because it is the one that people seem to be talking the most about right now. But 5 years ago, it was hip dips. 10 years ago, it was thigh gaps. It's just, as far as body trends are concerned, there's always something that people want to have or want to get rid of. And again, I'm talking mostly from a female perspective here. I do think that this affects women a little bit more, especially in the realm of plastic surgery. But of course, there are body expectations for all people, regardless of how you identify. These are just the ones that immediately come to mind for me. If you were around on Tumblr in the early 2010s, yeah, thigh gaps were all over the place. All over the place. And it's so unrealistic unless you have a certain body type to begin with. We all already know this now because that was the trend of, 15 years ago? I have a feeling 15 years from now, we are going to look at the buccal fat removal trend as silly, because as you age, your face sags naturally, and without your cheek fat, you will look less youthful. I'm not shading anybody that is interested in this. And that also sort of brings me to my second disclaimer before I get too far. Do whatever you want with your body. I do not want to be the person that sits here and shades people for getting any kind of body augmentation. If that is what is truly going to make you happy, do the thing. But I feel like we need to question why. Why do you want to change your body? There are exceptions to this, and I plan on getting into this at the end of the video. But for the purposes of just like the plastic surgery conversation, facial augmentation, things like that, why do you want your cheek fat to be taken out of your face? Why do you want your boobs to get bigger? Why do you want your butt to get bigger or smaller? Another little side note, BBL reversal. That's a whole other trend going on right now. Why do we want this? I understand that trends are what they are. There have always been trends, always, forever. It's a part of human nature. You want to follow the things that make other people look good, the things that give other people love and adoration and acceptance. Of course we want that because we are humans and we are social creatures. We want love and acceptance, and to a degree, following the trends, doing the things that make you more quote unquote attractive, help you get that love and acceptance to a degree. I bring that up just to say I think it has gone a little bit too far at this point in time. Do whatever you want with your body, but acknowledge why you want to do it. I'll use myself for an example really quick. Since middle school, I have wanted a nose job to some degree. I go in and out of it. I don't think about it that often, but when I really sit down and think about it, I have to admit to myself, if I had unlimited money and I had access to a really good surgeon who could do it well and not make it look stupid, and the people in my life did not care and did not try to tell me, no, Erin, your nose is fine. Like, don't get a nose job. That's crazy. If I had that sort of setup in my life, I might get a nose job. I'm just being honest. So I am not resistant to this conversation. Trust me, I still don't like my nose. But it's not that I want to spend $5,000, $10,000 on a beautiful, nice little nose. I don't want to do that. I just don't like my nose. Why don't I like my nose? Because it's not what I see portrayed as the cute little girly button nose. It's a little lumpy. It's a little big. I've never liked it. And to be honest, I probably have a lot of dysphoria when I look at it in the mirror, because any person who knows me and has seen pictures of me would be like, your nose is literally so normal. It's not even funny. But that's another conversation for another day. All in all, my point is, I don't actually want plastic surgery or augmentation. I just have been conditioned to see my nose as imperfect and wrong, even though there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not your stereotypical model, pretty, tiny, curved nose. I have no idea where I got that image from, but we'll chalk it up to media and beauty portrayals as a whole. My point in saying all of this is really just to come back to that idea of, is it something that is going to align with how you truly feel about yourself and feel like you should look like you were meant for it? Or have you just been conditioned to believe that you're not attractive the way you are? Hope that makes sense. Our current media, obviously, this is not a secret to anybody. We've been talking about this for years, but it pushes out images of what we quote unquote should look like. The problem that I have with this, though, is that now we have normalized augmenting our bodies. We have normalized lightning speed trends, whether that be for body trends, clothing, which I'll also get into, anything like that. It's not like trends haven't always been a thing. I recognize that that is an age-old, probably ancient thing about humanity, but the fact that we now have access to constantly changing media and constantly changing trends, ideas, whatever it may be, the things that we're seeing, it happens so suddenly that it is in no way natural for us to keep up with this, nor is it natural to be expected to keep up with this. However, we fully are expected to keep up with it. It's just the way that our culture now runs itself. The other thing is that we look to like 3 people for our perfect physique and face shape. And of course, this changes over the course of the years and who is popular and who's most famous. But again, if you're kind of in the know about certain trends right now, you probably know the people that I'm talking about. It's the Kardashians and it's Bella Hadid. The second that Kim Kardashian was losing weight to fit into Marilyn Monroe's dress at whatever awards show that was last year or 2 years ago, I don't remember how long ago it was. The moment that happened and that she started talking about losing weight, it became a trend to go back to the skinny era of the 90s and early 2000s. If you've heard of heroin chic, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Again, the Kardashians have allegedly reversed their BBLs, which means their butts are normal size now. It's things like that when the general populace catches on to these things. They're like, oh, okay, the Kardashians are getting skinny again. I guess it's time to get skinny again. And I'm like, why do we look to this insignificant group of people for what we should be looking like? It just makes no sense to me. And I know that the me sitting here talking about it just kind of fuels that fire. So part of me just doesn't even want to give this the space. But I think it's worth saying, because why are we like this? Why are we like this? It truly baffles me. I think somewhere along the way we've taken this long jump between, of course, we're humans, we need that social love and acceptance piece, but where did we suddenly attribute what looking worthy looks like, and using such a small set of examples? It's just, I don't know. It's kind of interesting if you think about it. On the flip side, think about Bella Hadid, Kim Kardashian for a second. In the same way that it can't be natural or good for us to just look to these few tiny people for what we should look like, it's not natural for them to have literally hundreds of millions of people looking at them every single day and being curious about them and wanting to look like them. Like, no part of this is normal. We've made it normal. We've normalized it. But as far as thinking about it in an evolutionary way, there's just no way. There's no way our brains are okay with this yet. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Now, this does not stop at body trends, but also clothing. And like I just mentioned, we know that clothing trends move at a lightning speed these days. It used to kind of feel to me like decades were a time for trends overall, but now it seems that trends happen every year, and something that you could have worn in 2022 isn't cool anymore or doesn't look good anymore. And people just kind of change their styles so quickly. I don't want to get bogged down in the details of certain trends that I'm talking about with this, but all of it is to say, enjoying clothing as it changes and as it evolves is absolutely not the problem that I'm trying to pick at here. It's more so looking down on ourselves, or especially looking down on others for not fitting this perceived mold. So chasing that, like constantly chasing the desire to look a certain way, it furthers the problem. It furthers the true problem, which is just that we are not accepting ourselves as we are. And I keep thinking about all of these different groups that this could affect in these different systems, but feeling the need to chase something that we are not or that we do not have is not good for us, of course, but it's also not good for the planet. It's definitely also not a secret, if you are the least bit interested in the fashion realm, that fast fashion is an insane problem, and it continues to become worse by constantly needing to follow trends. For example, Shein. We all hate Shein. All the homies hate Shein. Now I gotta back up a minute before I get too into that, but the problem with Shein does not lie in the people who cannot afford nice clothing or cannot afford a lot of clothing, and they want to look good, be accepted, so they shop there. My bone to pick is with Shein hauls, or, basically people who spend $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is, and then tout it on social media, all just for the video. That kind of thing happens a lot, believe it or not. I mean, you don't have to look far. It happens all the time. Or even following that sort of line, seeing on social media when people are like, oh, win this Shein $750 gift card, link in my bio. And we're just perpetuating this need to spend on fast fashion, which is already not a good system in and of itself. And it keeps perpetuating. These are the kinds of things I'm talking about. It's not the people who can't afford that much clothing to begin with. they are not the ones causing this insane waste issue. But it comes up because we can't just be happy with what we have. Beyond that, I worry about how this is affecting the young people in our communities. I think that comes from me being a teacher and just seeing how absorbed my students are in TikTok particularly, but trends in general. I mean, when I walk around the classroom and they're distracted and they're on TikTok, I mean, it is wild, the stuff that I see. And it makes me feel really old to say that, but I just think of me 15 years ago on Tumblr seeing the same thing with thigh gaps and what have you. It's the same thing. It's just repackaged and beautified to fit the aesthetic of 2023. And it's just a little bit scary. So all of this, to me, even just talking about it, to be honest with you, feels so exhausting. So exhausting. And this is, I want to be clear, not something that comes up in my brain day in and day out. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately because it just feels very clear to me that we are not going about this in the right direction or in the right way. Living like this constant chase under the guise of late stage capitalism, if we want to get into that conversation a little bit, is all so physically demanding, mentally demanding, and like I just said, exhausting. It's not a surprise to me that we all feel so burnt out so frequently and that it takes longer for us to recover. And letting our bodies be a trend is one piece to that, but I do think it is a very large piece. If you think about it, our body is where we live. So if we spend so much time externally chasing something that we think is going to improve what we are living in, that is, to me, I just feel like there's no way that we can really be in alignment with that. We will never really be fulfilled living like that. After all that has come up in the past couple of years, I really feel that we are still being called to slow the fuck down as a collective. Within ourselves, I can speak for myself in saying that slowing down feels really, really good. I have been in the past couple weeks feeling very tender and just I'm trying to get more present. As I mentioned in my second episode of Led to Gold, that's kind of my biggest goal in life right now, is just to feel into my body more and be more aware of what my body is telling me throughout the day and truly, genuinely slowing down. Another part of my goals has been to go to the gym every single day and kind of complete all my tasks. I mentioned doing a 75 soft that I've kind of adapted into my own goals. And this week in particular, I have not been following them very well. I have not gone to the gym once this week, and I only did one at-home workout, which normally I would beat myself up for and feel really bad about and kind of not forgive myself for that. But for some reason this week, I'm just accepting it and embracing it and realizing that it's not what my body needs right now. What she needs more is rest and just to chill the fuck out a little bit. It feels good to realize that because I'm giving myself what I need and what feels good for me. Back to what I was talking about a few minutes ago about always wanting a nose job. If I did that, if I actually went through with it, I think it might feel really good in the moment or the first few times that I look at my new face. But the longer I looked at it and the longer I thought about it, I think I would be a little bit repulsed. Like, did I really just change my face? It still baffles me that we actually have the technology to do that, but that's a side note. It's so hard to explain when I say it out loud, but I think I don't think I would be happy. I think there would always be a part of me that felt a little bit sad and guilty for wanting to change my body that works just fine as it does and doesn't cause me any problems other than, I'm self-conscious about certain things. This brings me to a sort of caveat that I wanted to talk about earlier, which is that there are circumstances in which your body does not align with how you feel. And making that change is what some people need to feel fulfilled. I just believe that most of us looking at these trends and maybe feeling kind of bad about not having whatever it is, I think the majority of us have no reason to change anything other than you don't think you look good enough to be accepted and loved. And that, my friend, is just not true. No matter who you are, that is not true. No matter what you look like, you are deserving of love and acceptance. I don't give a shit who you are or what you look like. And I want to be very clear that I am not just talking about 20-somethings, women, anybody within sort of my age group, anybody who is looking at all of these trends day in and day out on the internet. My generation tends to be the one who is constantly absorbing these things. And that's what I've talked about because that's what I see and what I know. I want to be extremely clear that that doesn't apply to just this age group. I do not care who you are. I've grown up watching my mother and her mother and pretty much all of the women in my family thinking they're too fat or thinking that they need to go on diets every single year all the time to look better or to be more worthy. And it breaks my heart. That's a big part of where this conversation comes from too, is that it's not just us. It's not just us 20-somethings on TikTok or chronically online looking at all of this. It has been a really long standing issue when looking at not feeling good enough in the body that you have. And I had a really good conversation with a friend earlier this year, and we literally just cried about our mothers, which sounds so silly, but it's true. We just sat there and cried about how we wish that they could see how beautiful they are because they never have. And because they never have, they have never, in my belief, been able to give us that recognition in ourselves either. So that's something else to consider, is if this is a struggle for you, it might not just be your struggle. It very likely could have been passed down to you, and it very likely could be a long, long lineage of wounding in your family and your community. So I kind of just want to sit with that for a minute as I say it out loud. There is no reason for you to change. There is no reason. Your body is yours, and your body is not a trend. It does not belong to the collective. It does not belong to the people who love you and the people who are near you and the people who influence you. It only belongs to you. So going back into that initial idea of, okay, you don't like this about yourself. You want to change this about yourself. You wish you had nicer clothes. You wish you had a smaller nose or a bigger butt. Why? And who taught you that? Who told you that? Where did that idea come from? That's what I believe we need to ask ourselves when we get into these headspaces of, I'm not good enough, I don't look good enough, I need to change. Okay, who told me that? Where did I pick that up? And that could be a very long journey. It could be a pretty painful journey. I still have a lot of work to do around that myself. But it has been a reminder for me from some dear friends over the course of many years that this isn't really about us being imperfect. It's about us living in a society that makes us think we are, and we are not. So the last little comment about capitalism, who is literally profiting off you believing that your nose isn't cute enough, or that your butt isn't big enough, or that your waist isn't small enough, or whatever it is. Somebody is trying to profit off of you believing that so that you change it and therefore give them money. Which when you break it down like that, I know that's only one way to look at it, but it makes the whole thing seem kind of almost worthy of rebellion against it. I love thinking of it like that because it's like, fuck no, I'm not giving you my money because you taught me to not like something about myself. Absolutely the fuck not. I have ownership of my own body and I can do whatever I want with her perfect little self. And I don't know, it's just a nice way to kind of turn it on its head and be like, no, you know what? Fuck you for making me think that I am not good enough, because I am. I know I'm just a random person. Maybe we're friends. Maybe I'm just an internet stranger to you, but you are worthy without the thing that you think you need. You are worthy right now as you're sitting, as you're walking, as you're listening. You are worthy of love and acceptance. You are. And I just hope that as a society, as a collective, as a culture, especially, you know, what I'm familiar with in America and as a young person, I just hope that this is something that we can grow to accept and reject the idea that we need to change anything about ourselves in order to have love and be loved. We are beautiful in whatever definition we hold for it. There should not be a definition for beauty. That I try to believe that there is not one. Everyone has their own definition. We can think of conventional attractiveness, but truthfully, just like what makes us beautiful is not what society deems. It's not. And I know that we know this. I know that we have talked about this and that this is a discourse in our culture, but I want to take it one step further by rejecting the idea that we have to follow trends of any kind, and that we can't just do what makes our bodies feel good in order to have a higher opinion of our own selves. That's really, at the end of the day, what I hope that we can all achieve, is being comfortable enough with ourselves and loving ourselves enough that like trends don't fucking matter. The only thing that matters is feeling comfortable within yourself, and not because you have done anything to now fit a mold, but because you just fucking love yourself. That's all it should be. So to kind of wrap up these ideas for today, I feel like this was saying a lot without saying much, but I hope you hung in there. Overall, just what I would hope that we can have a conversation about, if you want to reach out, is just how do we continue on the idea that we don't have to follow trends to be worthy, and that we can choose whatever is best for us, whatever aligns with us, and whatever is going to make us feel good and empowered and purely ourselves. How do we facilitate more of that in our communities? How do we help each other understand that we are worthy and valid and valuable and loved just as we are, without fixing or changing a single thing right now? There is nothing to fix or change. How do we get that word out? I want to talk to you all about this. And again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, if there is anything that I maybe didn't consider or that I should continue on in the conversation, maybe in a later episode, please, please, please share your thoughts with me and let me know. This is just something that has been stuck on my brain a lot recently, and I wanted to get it out into the world in some way. So thank you so much for listening, and let me know your thoughts. Let's finish with a little game, shall we? You guys know I always love to pull out the We're Not Really Strangers Healing Edition expansion pack to kind of wrap up an episode. So we're going to do that really quick. Let us reflect together. Okay, I'm pulling a card. Oh my gosh. Guys, I love doing this because the questions that come up are always so relevant to whatever it is that we have been talking about. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the card reads, what is your body telling you today? What is your body telling you today? This is so perfect in so many ways for me because I have been trying to practice presence more, and something that I do in order to get present is stop wherever I am and pause and physically feel through what's going on in my body. So I just ate a big plate of cheesy eggs and my belly is feeling really full. I woke up with a headache this morning and I've just been very kind of groggy. So I think that all together is giving me a lot of mixed signals, but I'm getting a very clear signal from my body today that I need to move around and go outside. It's the weekend and it is freezing, and I have not been getting outside very much lately because it's just been cold and crappy, and it's one of my goals for my 75 soft journey, if you listened in on that with episode 2, but I have not been getting outside very much. So body is telling me today, girly, we need some sunshine. You had a headache. You got a big old full belly that you're just sitting on. So let's get out and move around a little bit. That's what I'm getting. What is your body telling you today? Take a second, breathe into it, and I hope you find a clear answer and act on it. Okay, that's our little healing edition card for today. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Led to Gold. It is a pleasure to chat with you. Let me help you donate anywhere you would like. Give me a little rating. Send me a screenshot. I will do that for you. I just am happy to talk. My DMs are open, as they say. So thank you guys, and I love you so much. I'm giving you the biggest hug right now and smooshing your little face and telling you that you are beautiful, because you are, and you are worthy and powerful, and I hope that you feel that. Reject the trends. They're bullshit. They're stupid. All right, guys. Love you. I will see you next 2 weeks from now with yet another guest episode that I am so excited to put out. I hope you enjoy, and until then, have a great day. Bye.